How you doing there? Welcome back. Ooh, let me roll up my sleeves 1 second. To Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Kuf Yud Aleph, Daf 111 of Masechta BavaKama. Friends. Friends. Today we are wrapping up the 9th perek of Masechta BavaKama. Then we are beginning the 10th and final perek of BavaKama. Perek Hagoizel Umaychil. That's the name of the perek. Okay. Without further ado, thankfully, Chaver, we've been working hard, Chaver. We've been working hard over here at Babylon Talmud for the past few weeks. Hard. Thankfully, so far, the last perek has not been extremely difficult, which is very welcome. It hasn't been like, a walk in the park, but thank God, so far, if you flip through these pages coming up, they're big old dafs, like Kuf Yud Beis, alright, Chavet, you know how to tell if a daf is going to be big, right? Like, if it's big. But, if you look at a page, here, I feel like I'm telling a children's book, you see? I gotta flip around the page so that everybody can see. So if you look at a page and you see that there's it gets wide, and there's a lot of commentary, and it's not Tosfos, it's Rashi. So Tosfos doesn't say that much, and there's just a lot of content and a lot of explanation for it. You're going to be in for a doozy. Now, Daf Kuf Yud Beis is like that. Daf Kuf Yud Gimel is like that. Daf Kuf Yud Daled is like that. Daf Kuf Tes Vav is like that. So it's I was getting really nervous, but thankfully they moved kind of relatively quickly, which is nice. Let's go weiter. Okay. We're going to start on Daf Kuf Yud Amud Beis. We got about 5-10 lines to do on Kuf Yud Amud Beis. There's the 2 dots, 2, 4, 6, I think 8 lines from the bottom. Nosin es hakesef la'anshe mishmer vechule. So we are still talking about Gezel Ager. Very, very exciting sugya of Gezel Ager. A fellow steals from a proselyte, the proselyte passes away, he's got to pay, and then he swears, he admits it, so he's got to pay Karen v'chomish v'asham Karen v'chomish to a kohen. So the Mishnah had said that if he gave, so if the guy gave the Karen v'chomish to the kohen, and then he passed away, his heirs, his kids, meaning the guy, the thief, his kids cannot say to the kohen, okay, we want our money back. No, it doesn't work like that. So Amar Abai says, Abai Shmamino Kesef Mechaper Mechza. So Abai wants to argue from the fact that they cannot ask for it back, means that the kesef, that the money had some kind of an atonement factor to it. Dilo Mechaper, because if there was no atonement factor to this money, Hava Amina, I would have thought Mahadir Liyorshin, that it would revert, it would go back to the heirs. My time, how come? Adai Tudachi lo yoav lei. Well, because they would argue that, the money wasn't given to the quantum for no reason. The fact that they can't get it back must mean that the money accomplished something. What did it accomplish? It accomplished some kind of atonement. If it's all about that, it has to accomplish something, that has to have some kind of atonement. So if a fellow sets aside a korban that's going to be an animal that's going to be a korban chatas, and then Wellwood calls, Wellwood beckons, and that's the end of that guy. What happens to this animal that he set aside to be a korban chatas? It dies. But tepuk l'chulin, why does it have to die? Let it become chulin. Da'adai tedachi lo afisha, right? After all, he set it aside for atonement. He Wellwood beckoned before he had an opportunity to atone with it. So it should go free, right? Meaning, if the whole logic is that the money that was given to the kohen for the Gezel Ger must have been an atonement, because if not, then of course it would have reverted. But that's a hard argument, because what about Chatas Shemesu Baileo? There's clearly no atonement over there. The guy's in Wellwood. So it should go back, but it doesn't. Chata shemesu ba'aleh, you kill it. The lemisa azla. They say, yeah, that's not really such a good kasha. It's alachal Moshe Messina. It's alachal Moshe Messina that even though you're not getting atonement with this chata shemesu ba'aleh, still it's lemisa azla. You won't get it back. Instead, it goes to, well, depending what it is, oxwood or wait, what are we talking about? Chata? Can a korban chatas be? No, korban chatas is zafka. I think a goat, right? An aze, I think. Goat wood. Weiter. Asham nami uchsa gmire. Wait, where am I? Elamiato asham shemesu ba'alav lepok l'chulin. Okay, fine. But what about an asham? If the owner, the person who set aside the korban to be an asham, Wellwood beckoned. So now we think, well, he didn't get the atonement that he needs with the asham. It should go free. He didn't set aside this this animal for him to go to Wellwood. Yeah, but an asham oichit. No, there's Allah Moshe Messina there as well. That the halacha is that if by korban chatos it just like dies, so then by an asham it would be it has to graze until it gets a mum. And then what happens when it gets a mum? There you go. So you wait till it gets so you just gotta let it sit around till it gets a mum. When it gets a mum, you can then sell it. I guess you can eat it, and the money is donated to Beis Hamikdash for karbanos. Okay, fine. All right. So again, so we're still dealing with this concept of like, well, the money must have accomplished something because otherwise it would revert. And we're trying to say, wait, but that logic doesn't stand because then I would say that that chata shemesu ba'aleh should revert. So we say, no, that's a separate thing. What about an asham shemesu ba'aleh? It's also a separate thing. Okay. Elmiata yivamo shenoflo lifnei mukashrin tepuk below chalitza dadaita dachi lo kitcha atzma. But then, okay, based on this logic, we should say that if you have a fella who gets married and her husband passes away, they don't have kids. Remember, you know what this is called? It's called yibum. Do you know what yibum is? I'm not explaining. If you don't know what yibum is, if after learning yivamis for 4 months, more than 4 months, with Babylon Tam, you don't know what yibum is, I'm not going to say get lost. No, you should stay with us. We want you here. But I don't know what to tell you. Yibum is Yibum, you know. No. That box is closed. So what if her husband dies and the brother is a shtickle mukashchin? She doesn't really want to marry him. Right? So I should say, based on this logic, that, well, that was never her intent. Her intent was to marry her husband. She didn't get married thinking that she would marry this Mukashchin fellow. So, Hasam Anan Saide, actually, we will actually make the argument, that actually she would still go ahead with the marriage to her husband, even right with the knowledge that there is a chance that, well, if he dies, she might have to marry the Mukashchin. That she'll take, at the end of the day, she'll take anybody, because Kedurish Lakish Dam Rish Lakish Tov Lemesav Tandu Milemesav Armlu, that she'd prefer to at least have two bodies, at least to have somebody, anybody, even somebody whose brother's a Mukashchin. Still she would go ahead, because better to just be married to somebody than to be alone. Alright, fine, very nice. So therefore, even with that knowledge, she would still go ahead with the chasana. Okay, fine, alright. So it sounds like we could, I guess, kind of still accept that logic that it must be that there was an atonement, because otherwise it would revert. Alright, interesting stuff. Alright, let's go weiter. Nosin is sakesev liyo yariv vechule. Okie dokie. So, what did the Mishnah say? This isn't confusing or anything. It's a little technical, but so I'm just going to read the Mishnah for a second. Nasin is Sakesiv Lo Yariv, I'm like, I'm on Kuf Yud Amul Aleph, 4 lines before it gets wide. Nasin is Sakesiv Lo Yariv, if he gave the money, the Karen Vachomish to Yariv, which is the first of the Mishmaris, V'asham Li Yedaya, and then he gives the Korban Asham to the next Mishmar, to the Mishmar of Yedaya, Yotza, then it works. Okay, because first he gave the Karen Vachomesh, and then he gave the Asham. Asham li Yoyar, but if he did Fakert, if he gave the Asham to Yoyar, v'chesef li Yedaya, and then the money to Yedaya, im kaima Asham, if the Asham still, I'm still reading the Mishnah by the way, if the Asham still exists now, so Yakrivu b'nei Yedaya, so the b'nei Yedaya should offer it, because they received the money, then they should offer the Korban. V'im lo, and if the Korban no longer exists, it was already offered, so Yachzav Yavi Asham Acher, so then the thief should provide another asham, shamevi gizelo achelo hevi ashamo yotza, because if you first give the money and then the asham, way to go, that's good. Hevi ashamo achelo hevi gizelo, but if you do fakert, if you first offer the asham and then the gizela and then the money, lo yotza, that doesn't work. So now, so back in our Gemara, and daf Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph, 2 lines into the daf. If a fellow gave the Karen, I imagine it's the Karen in the Chomesh, to Yehoyariv, to the first Mishmar. Okay, turn around. Nosin Asham li Yehoyariv. If he gave the Asham to Yehoyariv, v'chesef li Yedaya, and then the kesef to Yedaya. So he went out of order. Okay. Yachzir kesef eitzel Asham div Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda says that the kesef should go to Yehoyariv, and then Yehoyariv would have the kesef and the asham, and they would have everything, and they would offer the asham. Fine. The Chacham, whereas the Chacham say Yachzir Asham Eitzel Kesef, whereas the Chacham say that the asham should go to the kesef to Yehoyariv. Hechidami, what's to Yedaya? Hechidami, what's the scenario? Ilemedi Yoiv le asham li Yehoyariv b'mishmar to Yehoyariv. Okay, so if we're talking about a scenario where he gave Cheveh, we're going to call him the guy, okay, right? The thief, the guy who stole from the proselyte, the guy, okay. So if the guy gives is korban asham, kilu, out of order, to Yehoyariv b'mishmarto, the Yehoyariv during Yehoyariv's mishmar, v'chesef, and then he out of order gives li Yedaya, he gives the kesef to Yedaya, b'mishmarto the Yedaya during the mishmar of Yedaya. Ze zocha b'shalo, v'ze zocha b'shalo. So, and each one received what they are meant to receive, and then I guess, and then what? Says Rashi, "Hinami the Rabbanan the Kansul Yoyariv the Kabul Asham Mikame Kesef El Rabbi Yehuda." So the Chachamim say that fine. Oh, right. Because they're saying what needs to move around to where exactly. So let's look at that Rashi, 3rd line of Rashi. Zeb zacha b'shlo v'zed zacha b'shlo. So nihi nami de l'Rabbanon de kansu li'Yehoyariv de kabul asham mikame kesef. So the Rabbanon said that the asham goes to the kesef, right? So meaning the guy gave the asham to Yehoyariv during their mishmar, and then he gave the kesef to Yedaya during their mishmar. Now, that's inappropriate, right? Yehoyariv should not have received the asham before the kesef, so therefore we fine Yehoyariv and we say give the asham to Yedaya. Rabbi Yehuda, my time to konis Yedaya, but according to Rabbi Yehuda, why is he punishing Yedaya to say that they have to now give their kesef to Yehoyariv? They weren't receiving any. I mean, it's a problem to give the asham before the kesef. When he gives the kesef to Yehoyariv, they're not doing anything wrong; they're receiving the kesef. So again, heichi dami ilema de Yehoyariv le asham li Yehoyariv b'mishmarto de Yehoyariv. So if we're saying that the asham was given to Yehoyariv during their mishmar, v'chesef li Yedaya b'mishmarto de Yedaya, and then the kesef was given to Yedaya during their subsequent mishmar, zezacha b'shelo v'zezacha b'shelo. So in each one received what they received, and I can understand. Rashi fills in for us that I can understand the Rabbanan's position that Yehoyariv has to give the asham to Yedaya because they received it out of order. We punish them and say, look, you lose your asham, you have to give it to Yedaya. But I guess this is assuming that it wasn't offered yet. but I don't understand why. What did Yedaya do wrong? They received the kesef. So what? Why should they have to give their kesef to Yoyar? Omar Rove says Rove. Achav ma'iskin. And here, what are we talking about? The Yoav Osham liYoyariv b'mishmarto diYoyariv, that he gave the Osham to Yoyariv during their mishmar. V'chesev liYedaya b'mishmarto diYoyariv, and that the kesef was given to Yedaya also during Yoyariv's mishmar. So I guess the Rabbanon punish Yoyariv for receiving the Osham out of order and say that they have to give it to Yedaya. Rabbi Yehuda Savar, but Rabbi Yehuda holds, came in the Lav Mishmeres the Yedaya, that since it's currently not Yedaya's mishmar and yet they're receiving the kesef, so they're also shtickle not following the rules. So the Yedaya konsinon lei. So we punish. We find Yedaya hilkoch yachzer kesef eitzel osham. That is why Rabbi Yehuda says that the money should be given to Yehoyariv. V'Rabbanon Savrei, whereas the rabbis hold shelo kedinu avud bnei Yehoyariv the kiblu osham mikami kesef. That taka, it was the bnei Yehoyariv that were acting like shmendriks, that they received the osham out of order when they should have first received the kesef. Hilkoch lididu kansinon lehu v'yachzor osham eitzel kesef. And therefore we punish them by saying you have to give the osham to Yedaya so that they can have the kesef and the osham and offer everything. Okay, givaldig. Alright, it's a shtickle technical, but it's not that difficult or whatever. It is what it is. It's a little bit interesting in the fact that we're talking about the Mishmaros and the Beis HaMikdash, and that the first one is Yoyariv and the second one is Yedaya. You just have to remember which one is first, which one is second. So Yoyariv goes first, Yedaya goes second. Okay, let's go weiter. Tanya, we learn in a Baraisa. Omer Rabbi says Rabbi. Okay, it says Rabbi. The Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, so according to Rabbi Yehuda, who says that the kesef goes to the Osham. Im kodmu bnei Yehoyariv. If the bnei Yehoyariv kodmu ve'ekrivu es Osham, they offered the Osham. Well, then yachzer v'yovi Osham acher. So then the guy needs to bring an additional Osham v'yakrivu bnei Yedaya, and bnei Yedaya will offer it. V'zachu alalu b'mashe b'yodon, and they will receive that which they received. 1 second. Oh, okay, fine. Oh, I understand. Okay, so look at Rashi again, first thin line of Rashi. The Divrei Rabbi Yehuda v'afagav dikonis le'liyadaya. Right, even though Rabbi Yehuda he punishes Yedaya to say that the kesef has to be given to Yoyariv. Hanimile heicha the osham rishin kaim. That so long as the first osham is still in existence, the yicholim b'nei Yoyariv la'akrivo ba'od mishmarten kayemis, that Yoyariv would still be able to offer it during their mishmar uvehechsher and properly. Aval im kodmu v'yakrivu b'psul. But if Yoyariv offered it out of order, which is not okay, the Osham Abakodam Akeren Posulhu, Kidim Mefarish Lekamun, Yinosin Osham Asheni Liyedaya, so then the second Osham will go to Yedaya, but then it says, back in the Gemara, V'zacho Lalab Mashabiyodan, I think what it's saying is that Yoyariv, though, is Zochet to what they have. Amri Lemai Chazi, Osham Posulu. What do you mean that they're Zochet? It's a Posul Dika Osham. Rava says for his hide, that they would Yoyariv would be able to maintain the hide. All right. Tani we learn in Brisa. Rabbi says Rabbi the Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, im kayim Osham, if the Osham still exists by Yoyariv, so yachzer Osham eitzel kesef. So then the Osham needs to go to the kesef. Rabbi Yehuda yachzer kesef eitzel Osham islay. But didn't Rabbi Yehuda say fakert that it's the kesef that goes to the Osham? So Ochov Ma'iskin, and here we're talking about going to Nofak Mishmarto di Yoyariv. Well, it's talking about where Yoyariv's Mishmar is up. Vilotavu, and they didn't claim the kesef, so BavaKama and it's letting us know the Achule Achilu Gabayu. That, what is that again? Wait, what? Now, Okay. Wait, where am I? Yeah, these are very technical. Each scenario is like shtickle different, and there's no Rashi on this one. Again, Tanya Rebbe, the different Yehuda im kaim oshim yachzer oshim etzel kesef. For Rebbe Yehuda yachzer kesef etzel oshim is lei acham maskinu gondinafik mishmatu diyoyov v'lo tovo v'acha by kamash milon ta'achuli achilu gavayu. That I think the point is that since their mishmar ended and they didn't ask for the kesef, which they would need, so then they basically lose their right to the Asham and they have to give it to Yedaya. I think that's what it's saying. Tani Yidach, we have another brayso. Amr Rebbe says, Rebbe the Rabbi Yehuda, im Kayim Asham, if the Asham is an existing, Yachzir Kesef Eitzel Asham, so then the Kesef goes to the Asham. Pshita, that's obvious. That's exactly Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, that the Kesef goes to the Asham. So Chamaiskin here, it's talking like Gondinofik Mishmartim Dahani. Well, it's talking about he gave the Asham to Yoyariv and the Kesef to Yedaya, and they didn't sort it out. Like Yoyariv held on to the Asham, Yedaya held on to the Kesef. They didn't figure out how they're going to offer this thing, and both Mishmars passed. Velotavu, and they didn't kind of straighten it out. So I might think that they were kind of I don't know, that I guess when maybe the first, I guess that maybe, let's go by the second Kamashman, the Amrinan came to Lotavu Lahadra Beresha, meaning it reverts back to the initial status, which is that the Kesef goes back to the Asham, right? Because meaning Rabbi Yehuda said that if Yoyariv didn't kind of ask for the money during their Mishmar, so then the Asham goes to Yedaya. Now, I might think that once the Asham goes to Yedaya, so it stays with Yedaya. But actually, if Yedaya also doesn't sort of sort it out, and Yedaya's Mishmar passes, well, then it reverts back to the original situation, which is that then Yedaya needs to give the Kesef to Yoyar. Alright, fine. Pretty technical stuff over there. Where am I? Okay, so we said that you have to give the Kesef before the Asham. How do we know this? The pasuk says, "Ha'asham amushav la'Hashem la'koin." So the keren v'chomesh goes to the koin. Milvad ela kippurim, aside from the korban asham that will have the atonement, that will be atoned with. So milvad the kesef bereisha. So we see that the money is first given, and then there's the korban asham. So now one of the rabbis says to Rava, but 1 second, the Messiah Kasha. You're saying that when it says ha'asham amushav l'Hashem la'koin milvad ela kippurim, so it must be that the keren comes first and then the korban. Let me ask you a kasha. What about this? Milvad ola saboker. Ho 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 ho. It says by the korban musafin that that they are milvad ola saboker. So achinami michlal de musafin bereisha. Does that mean that you're going to offer the korban musaf before the korban tamid shel shachar? No way, no how. How do we know that you never have anything prior to the tamid shel shachar? Therefore it says that you will organize upon on it, on the korban tamid shel shachar ola ve'omar mar ha'ola ola rishon ola, that the ola, that the tamid shel shachar comes first. That all other korbanos come after the tamid shel shachar, and therefore you're not offering the musaf first; you're offering the musaf after. So I would think also here that you're not giving the money first and then the korban; you're giving the korban first and then the money. No, I'm not learning it out from milvad el kippurim. I'm learning it out from asher yichaper, that he will in the future offer. Right, meaning first you give the money to the Kohanim, and then you will give the korban asham. So we said that. Let's look at the Mishnah again. So it says nosan lo sakeren below nosan es hachomesh in a chomesh makiv. If he gave the keren but not the chomesh, he needs to give the chomesh later. He's going to have to give the chomesh, but it's not going to mess with the atonement. With the korban asham. He's still yotze, but he has to give the chomesh later. Hevi meiloso velo hevi ashamo velo hevi meiloso shlo yotzo tamloma be'el ha'asham v'nislach lo. Okay, he's talking about me'ilah. Me'ilah. Somebody who gets benefit from hektish and by accident, so he pays the value plus a fifth plus osham. Sounds familiar. So how do we know? So that if he gave the, I assume he's talking about the keren v'chomesh, v'lo evi ashamo, but he didn't offer the osham me'ilos, ashamo v'lo evi me'iloso, or he offered the osham me'ilos but not the keren v'chomesh. Wait, what does Rashi say? Rashi says me'iloso keren dehekdish shemabo. Wait, what about the chomesh? Alright, so let's just say the keren. Does it mean the keren and the chomesh? Although, maybe it's leaving out the chomesh because, as we said in our Mishnah, the chomesh is a ma'akev. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so how do we know that if he offers the keren but not the osham, or fakert, if he offers the osham but not the keren, shelo yotza, that he's not yotze, that he has to offer both, he has to bring both the keren and the osham. Tamilomar be'el ha'osham v'nislach lo. The ayil is the korban osham, ha'osham is the keren, v'nislach lo. And then he gets his atonement. Minayin she'im hevi ashamo ad shelevi milaso shelo yotz. And how do we know that the order matters? That if he first offers the osham and then the keren shelo yotza, tamloma be'el ha'osham, that with the ram of the keren of the osham, ha'osham bikvar, period. Meaning be'el ha'osham, the ram of the osham, of the keren. Kilu, the keren is the primary thing, and it's the ram of that. So first comes the keren, and then the korban. Yachol gshem she'ayil ve'osham me'akvim. Is it possible that just like you need the ram and the keren, kachomesh me'akev? So is it possible that also the chomesh will be me'akev? Tamloma be'el ha'osham v'nislach lo, that it mentions the korban and the keren and the kapara. Ayil v'osham ma'akvim be'ekdesh, that what's ma'akev is the korban and the principle. Ve'ein chomesh ma'akev, but the fifth is not ma'akev. Ve'yilmod hektish mehedjit ve'hedjit mehektish. And we learn out me'ilah from gezel ager and gezel ager from me'ilah. Hektish mehedjit, we learn a me'ilah from gezel ager. Ma'osham dehosom keren af osham dehocha keren. Just like by gezel ager, when it says osham, that I think we learned about yesterday, when it says osham, it means keren. So oichit by me'ilah, when it says osham, it means keren, right? When it says el osham, the osham is referring to the keren. V'hedjit mehektish, and gezel ager from me'ilah, my hektish, just like by me'ilah, ein chomesh ma'akev, the chomesh, it says el osham v'nisach lo, not the chomesh is not ma'akev, af hedjit nami oichit, ein chomesh ma'akev. So oichit by gezel ager, the chomesh is not ma'akev. Hajan olach hagozel eitzim, we will come back to Perak hagozel eitzim. Hagozel eitzim was not so poshut, huh? Chevre, we are up to the last Perak of Masechta BavaKama. Amazing! Chevre, BavaKama is the big leagues. Chevre. Another 10 days? I always get confused. Like if you have 111 and it goes up to 119, is that 8? Is that 9? Is that 10? I don't think it's 10. I think it's probably 9. I mean, it depends if you count it, right? Ad b'chlal or ad v'lo ad b'chlal. But from the beginning, not from the end. It's like, right? I'm not the only person who gets confused by this, right? It's like 111 and 119, you would think it's 8, because 119 minus 111 is 8. But if you count the 111 as well, so then it's actually 9, right? 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119. Yeah, it's 9. So including today, it's 9 days left to BavaKama. Not including today, it's 8 more days left in BavaKama, Chaver. That's not a lot of days. We only have 8 days left, and then we learned BavaKama. Chaver, that's big stuff, Chaver. Big stuff. A fellow who steals and he feeds it to his kids. So it's not there anymore, right? I mean, obviously when you think of Michael, you think of like actual food, right? So let's say a guy steals falafel and he gives it to his kids and they eat it, so it's gone, right? V'niach lifneim. Alternatively, if he gave it to them, so he stole something and he gave it to his kids and they still have it. P'turin milishalim. The kids do not need to pay it back. And if it's something that has achrayis, we're talking going to discuss what does it mean davar sheish ba'achrayis. Chayav and the shalim, then they need to pay it back. Let's say for now what it means is davar sheish ba'achrayis, something that's recognizable, right? So the father had stolen, somebody else's chveisnis, his horse, and everyone knows, oh yeah, that horse, it's so and so's horse, and like, every time they take it out, everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, right, that's so and so's horse. So if it's recognizable, it's out of the kvod aviyim, out of the honor of their father. Said it's not like embarrassing every time they take out the horse, and everyone's like, oh yeah, that's the horse that their father stole. So they would return it. Let's assume that that's what it means for now. So chayav n'shalim, in that scenario, they need to pay it back. Omer Rav Chizda says, the Gemara says, Rav Chizda, gozal velo nisyaishu habaylim. Okay, so if the father had so let's not say that. In general, a guy steals and the victim did not give up hope. There was no yeush. So the victim is still hoping that he will get back his item. So again, if the guy stole and the victim did not yet give up hope of getting it back, he was not miyayish, and then somebody else comes and eats it. So let's say a cow was stolen, right? So okay, fine, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Sorry, Shimon steals a cow from Reuven. Reuven is still hoping to get back the cow. Levi then eats the cow. Rotza mize gove. Reuven can collect either from Shimon, who stole it, or from Levi, who ate it. My time because as long as Reuven has not given up hope of getting back his cow, so it's still in his possession, and therefore, so Reuven can claim it from Shimon, because Shimon is the one who stole it, or they can go to Levi, because when Levi ate it, it was still in Reuven's possession. So you can claim it from either Shimon or Levi. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah though, Hagozelu maichil es bonov v'niach lifneim p'turin milishalim, that if somebody steals and feeds it to his kids, or if he leaves it in front of them, so then they're p'turin milishalim. So why are we saying, Rav Chizda is saying right there, Reuven can collect either from Shimon or from Levi? Sounds like, if we're saying if the kids eat it, he cannot collect it from the kids. So if Levi ate the cow, he should not be able to collect it from Levi. So let's say that our Mishnah is a kasha on Rav Chizda, which is a problem for Rav Chizda. Where am I? Tuv to do Rav Chizda. So, right, I don't think I skipped, right? Right, Tanan, Agozol Michael is Bonov, Pinech Lefneim P'turim Milashalim, Tuv to do Rav Chizda. Amalach Rav Chizda will respond, Kitoni, right? That's right. Our Mishnah is talking about Hahi La'achar Yayush. Right? If we look at Rav Chizda's statement, what was Rav Chizda's statement? Rav Chizda Gazav Lo Nisyashu Abayim. Rav Chizda is davka talking about Velo Nisyashu Abayim, that Reuven did not give up hope, and therefore, because Reuven didn't give up hope, he can collect it from Shimon or from Levi. Our Mishnah is talking about when he did give up hope, and therefore, because he gave up hope, so Yeush Kedilo Kani, Yeush alone wouldn't be enough. But when he gives it to his kids, or specifically in our case, when he feeds it to his kids, well, then it's Yeush and Shinui Maiseh, and therefore they're pturin. So therefore they're pturin. So meaning, so when Rav Chizda says that Reuven can collect it from Shimon or Levi, it's because there was never Yeush. But our Mishnah, which says that once he feeds it to his kids, they're pturin, it's because that was after Yeush, so there was Yeush and Shinui Maiseh. Okay. let me just look at Rashi quickly. Yeah, okay, fine. I don't think there was Rashi. Okay. So if the father gave the cow to the kids, so then, right, Pturim, right? So they don't have to give it back. So Amar Rambam Bar Chama says, Rambam Bar Chama is also married. It says, Rishus Yoresh Kirishus Lokeach Dami. Okay, that the kids who inherit the father is like a lokeach, right? So if Ruvain, if Shimon would steal a cow from Ruvain, and Ruvain gave up hope, so there's Yeush, and then Shimon sells it to Levi. So there's Yeush and Shinui Rishus. So then there's a kinyan there, and there's a Levi as a kinyan there. So we're saying here as well that if the father stole the cow, and we're saying that it's talking about after Yeush, so the father stole the cow, and there was Yeush, and then his kids inherited. So now there's Yeush and Shinui Rishus. So there's a kinyan, and they are Peturin. So again, back in our Gemara, Amirami Bar Chama is also meris. Our Mishnah says is indicating Rishus Yoresh Rishus Lokeach Dami, that the domain of the heirs is like the domain of a purchaser. That it would suffice to have Yeush plus Shinui Rishus to make a kinyan. Rove Omar Rishus Yoresh Lab Kirshus Lokeach Dami. Rava says nisht. The domain of the heirs is not like the domain of a purchaser, and therefore would not be considered Yeush plus Shinui Rishus. So if that's the case, Yeush Kadi lo Kani, so then why are they Peturin? Sorry, Mom. Here what are we talking about is Ki She'achalum. It's talking about where it was consumed. Okay? It's talking about where it was consumed. So therefore there's Yeush plus Shinui Maise. V'hami diktani Seifa, but what about the fact that the Seifa of the Mishnah says, Im hoya davar sheyesh bo achrayis. But if it's something that is recognizable, that the people are going to see the cow and say, oh yeah, that's so-and-so's cow, and it's going to be embarrassing for the father that everyone's always going to be attributing that cow as the cow that he stole from the other guy, chayav and l'shalom, that they do need to pay it back. So michlal dereisha big zela kayemes oskinon, which means that we're talking about a scenario where they didn't eat the cow, where the cow is still cowing, so how could Rava say that it's talking about where they ate it? No, they didn't eat it. Rava will say, Achi ka'amar, this is what the Mishnah is saying, Iminiach loem avim achrayis dechosim chayovim l'shalim. No, what Rava says is that, no, it's talking about a scenario where they ate the cow. And what does it mean? It doesn't mean that if people recognize the cow. No, it means that if the father had left for them karke, if he had left for them property, then they should pay back the cow with that property. That is what it is saying. V'masnile Rebbe the Reb Shimon brei, but didn't Rebbe teach his son Reb Shimon lo davar sheyesh ba'achrayis mamish? No, it doesn't mean actual property. Ela afilu pare v'choresh ba, even if it's a cow that you plow with, chamer mechamer achrav, or a donkey that you walk around with or whatever, and I guess people recognize it as being the other guys. So chayav and lahachzir mipnei kvod avin, they need to return it out of the honor to their father. So we see that that it's not like Rava, right? Rava is saying that it's talking about where the cow was consumed, and it's saying that if there's property, then they have to pay it back. But Rebbe explicitly taught to his son that it's talking about where the cow is around. So Elam Rava rather says Rava ki shchivna, when I go to Wellwood, Rabbi Ishaya Nofik Livasi, Rabbi Ishaya is going to come to me, di taritzna masnisin kavase, because I explained the Mishnah like him. Basically, when when I pass away, Rabbi Shai is going to come greet me and give me a big hug and a big yasher koyach for explaining the Mishnah like him. The Tani Rabbi Shai taught Hagezel Umaychil as Banov, that a fellow who steals and feeds it to his kids, Pturin Milsham, they do not need to pay back. Hiniach Lifneim. So if he gave the cow to them, and then after he died, they consumed it. Gizela kayemes chayovin. If the gizela is still around, so they have to give it back. Ein gizela kayemes, but if they consumed it, so pturin, they are pturin. But if the father left for them property, chayovin the shalim, then they need to pay back from the property. So Rava says, look, it's true that Rebbe explains the Mishnah that it's talking about where it's recognizable. Rabbi Shai does not explain it that way. He talks about where it's consumed, but if he has property, then he has to pay back from there. So Rava says, I'm be'etzen, explaining the Mishnah like Rabbi Shai. Okay. Omar Mar, we said, Ein hagzelo kayemes piturin, and that if the gzela is no longer kayemes, piturin. Okay, so let's say that it's a kasha on Rav Chizda, right? It's the same kasha we had earlier, right? So name it Tavativ to Rav Chizda. Let's say it's a kasha on Rav Chizda who said that if Reuven didn't yet give up hope, Shimon stole it from Reuven. Reuven did not give up hope. Levi consumed it. Reuven can claim it from Levi. But over here we're saying that the kids are pturin. So Amalach Rav Chizda Kitanyo Ahi La'achar Yeush says Rav Chizda will say, yeah, but our Mishnah is talking about after Yeush, and that's why Yeush and Shinui Maise makes a kinyan in their pturin. Amar we said Gzela Kayemes, that if the Gzela is Kayemes Chayovin Lishalim, they need to right. So if the Gzela is still around, so then they have to return it. Name it Tavatuvta Joram BavaKama. Let's say it's a Kasha and Rami BavaKama, because he had said that Rishus Yoresh Rishus Lokeach, and they would not need to return it. Amalach Rami BavaKama Kitanyahi Lifne Yeush. Rami BavaKama will say, yeah, when you have to return it, that's talking about before Yeush, but after Yeush it would be Yeush V'Shini Rishus, and they would not have to return it. They would be returned. Friends, that was the Kuf Yud Aleph of Masechta BavaKama. We finished the 9th parak of Masechta BavaKama. We talked about the Mishmaris, Yoyariv, and Yedaya, Machlokes, Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim, about does the money go back to the Oshim? Does the Oshim go back to the money? Okay, and then we started the parak of the final parak of Masechta BavaKama, parak Hagozel, Eitzim, and we saw Machlokes between Rami BavaKama and Rava about Rishus Yorish, Rishus Lokeach Domi. Rami BavaKama says yes, Rava says no. Interesting stuff. Peace out.